Yo, bro, welcome to today's video. We're gonna be talking about training form. If you don't know this channel, this is my channel on calisthenics, and so let's get right to it. This is a new type of video, so let me know what you think. Training form is where you use a slightly worse form, right, of what's considered like competition standard to actually make better progress. You do this with like a couple of ways, basically what your body finds more comfortable, so you can build up your absolute strength, which will then transfer to like competition form or whatever you want to do. First off, join Calisthenics. This is my free community where you have 100 like-minded people like us working towards calisthenics, so go ahead and do that. Here's Navshan, who used training form to reach a 32 kilo weighted pull-up. This is really sick. And as you can see, he's using training form in the beginning here, right? And some knee bend and stuff, which many people wouldn't consider like competition technique or whatever. Here's another one for me. This was like 20 kilos for 8 reps. As you can see, these reps here have like some knee bend and stuff. But this is training form. First off, everyone does training form. If someone tells you that they're doing competition technique, that is invalid because they're not following, like cues on timing cues. So like rack, whatever, get off the rack, go down, push up, all those different things, right? So just by default, they're not following them. Training form is essentially where you tweak your form, right, to what your body naturally does, as long as it's consistent. So on a pull-up, this could be like bending your knees. Like many people bend their knees even if they're not aware of it. And yes, in the beginning, it's pretty good to actually like keep like your form really strict. But as you go, and this is probably the stage where you're at now, tweaking your form to what your body naturally does is going to be much better in the long run. Why would you even do training form? Okay? You would do training form for these reasons as well as some other ones. So the first one is injuries. Your injuries will actually go down with training form because a lot of the stuff you do in like competition technique, like let's say be fully locked out like on chin up or like on a pull up, fully dead hang, that can cause some injuries for sure, especially if your body isn't used to it. And so your body actually adapts, right? Your body naturally wants to do training form because, it doesn't want to get injured. So it doesn't want to get injured, so it does training form, but you stop it by doing competition technique, which could potentially get you injured. Yes, it also makes the rep easier, but like we said, this will make for better results in the long run. Because of the mechanical tension, so this is the absolute tension, if you want to call it like that. Because weight is weight, right? And if you're going to do, let's say, a 50 kilo pull-up, however much like training form you use, however much kip, like at some points of the pull-up, you're still going to be experiencing that full 50 kilos. And so the adaptation to your central nervous system, to your muscles, to your tendons, all of these different things will be at that like level of the 50 kilos. And just because you use training form doesn't mean that's going to go down. So your mechanical tension is actually going to go up with training form. And of course, over strictness, if you're really focused on keeping your rep like super clean and everything, you're not going to have 100% focus on just like pulling or pushing, right? Which is what you want to have optimally. And so your over strictness will obviously go down, and this will help, your results go up once again. Your progress will be faster. This is because, like we said, the absolute load and the absolute stimulus. So the absolute load will be higher, right? So let's say instead of doing like 30 kilos on pull-ups, you're going to be doing 35 or maybe 40 kilos. And so the absolute load will be higher. And so this will mean that the absolute stimulus will become higher as well, which is how much like stimulus your muscles get, your central nervous system gets, your tendons get. And if the stimulus is higher, it's going to be easier to get out of plateaus. It's going to be easier to stay out of plateaus, all that good stuff, which you don't want happening, because when you want to have this range as big as possible for how low the stimulus can be and how high the stimulus can be, okay? You want it to be low so that during your volume phase, you're not pushing that hard, okay? But you want it to be high during your window. You don't want it to be here. You want it to be all the way out here because during your central nervous system adaptation phase, or when you really want to hit that 1 rep max, you want to be able to train harder, right? Train with a higher absolute stimulus so that your body gets like more absolute gains, okay? But for training stimulus, for training form, we still need to be hitting depth, okay? This is really important. Still need to be hitting depth, still need to be hitting whatever height. So on pull-ups, still get your chin over the bar. On dips, still get your shoulders like below your elbows, get your hips below the dip bars, get your, your like the quad like bone, whatever, get it below your knees, right? In a squat. All that stuff you still need to do, right? Training form does not mean you just get to skip those, okay? And training form only applies if it's actually consistent, right? This is really important because if your training form varies from one day to the other, this is natural, obviously, there'll be some variation, but there is some like variation which will be too much. For some people, this is on the pull-up, right? So if you're doing pull-ups, okay, and you have your like the weight between your legs, right, which is what's like normal, right? Weird drawing, but yeah, versus like behind your legs. The difference with like putting the weight behind your legs, right? You'll be able to bend your legs more and more each time, right? So you might just get better at bending your legs instead of actually getting stronger at the pull-up, which is not what we want. And so, for example, for Navshan, right? I'm training him right now, and he was like doing the weight behind his legs for a little bit, but we actually switched it to putting it between his legs because of that, like because he might just get better at, just bending his knees more and more. In terms of implementing like training form, how I would say to go about this if your technique is like already like really perfect right now, because I know a lot of people, who perfected their technique from the beginning. I was like one of those people, and unlearning that is really hard for sure, but you don't actually have to unlearn if you just go back to your natural tendencies, right? So if in the beginning, like your form was like perfect, okay? And now you want to go to training form so that you can get faster progress, right? How you do this is literally by just allowing your body to do what it would naturally do. So in a pull-up, right, this would be like maybe bending your knees a little bit. This could be abusing the stretch reflex at the bottom. There are tons of ways to do this and still maintain your standards, okay? That's the number one thing, okay? So standards, right? Standards. Wow, what a nice writing. So maintain your standards, okay? And also keep it consistent, okay? This is the other thing. Make sure it's really consistent, as in you don't really change it up from like one day to the other. For example, on the pull-ups, right, if the weight was behind your legs, that wouldn't be consistent because maybe one day you'll bend your knees a lot more than the other day. And third is just do what your body like naturally does, okay? Because when you do that, it's like your body is like gonna protect you from whatever injuries like you could potentially get. It'll protect you from, something like that. It'll also get you, you won't have to think about it, which is the most important thing. You won't have to put any like mental energy during your actual set into thinking about, wow, I should do the rep like this and I should really focus on keeping my like shoulders like this or whatever. Yes, you want to keep your form good, but also keep it natural, okay? I know this video has helped you a ton, bro. So I want to tell you about Calisthenics once again because yes, a YouTube video like this is great, bro. I'm sure you got a lot of value. You've clearly watched to the end. And that shows you have like probably a top like 0.1 attention span nowadays because no one can watch videos like this now. So congratulations on that, bro. But I want to help you even more than this YouTube video. And I want to offer you my one-on-one help, bro, with achieving your goals. So join this community. We can hop on a call. You can be with literally 100 like-minded people like you. Click on join. This is on school, so you just make an account, whatever. And yeah, I'll see you there, bro. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get it. See you, bro. Keep overloading.